Good evening. Have you had something to eat? I'm just asking. It's been a long, tumultuous week. So in order to get through the week, you gotta find something to eat. And I'm wondering if you had some of that fast food that goes in quick, comes out just as quick. Or I'm wondering if you had some soul food. It's been a little bit of time now, y'all. I've missed you. We've been vacationing. We've been getting out of school. We've been graduating. We've been going through all of these different festive occasions. And I know you've been eating something. I know you've been talking to some people. And I know that they fed you some food that kind of tasted good. And that's a good thing, because a variety of foods is always good. But there's something about soul food, y'all. It's something about that food that sticks to the inside that makes you wonder, what have I been eating all these days? What? Soul food. That's what I'm talking about tonight. I just want you to come on, pull up a chair. Sit down with me, sup with me. Let's crack open the pots, the pans, and let's break out the best silverware. And let's do some eating. What? Soul food, y'all. Let's eat. Tonight, we've got a very important meal that I want to talk to you about. This meal often comes with that time what we call family picnics. Yeah, it's that meal that we open up when we start talking about that family affair, right? And everybody gathers around and we start calling everybody cuz. Well, if you haven't, I do. You know, you go to these family reunions and everybody's cuz, your nephew. All the names are lost. You just start calling people by their relationship. Your grandpa, your moms, you know, no names, just by position. And this is an interesting thing that always happens. And if it hasn't happened to your family, it's a blessing. But it also can be something that opens your eyes and make you start to wonder, who are my people? What do they stand for? What are they getting into? What should they be getting out of? What should they do to advance their solid understanding of what's going to come next in their lives? Who's guiding their lives? And oftentimes these conversations usually start at family affairs, right? Family picnics, family dinners. Sometimes we're going out, you know, the 4th of July is coming up around the corner. You know, we just had Mother's Day a little while. And some reason or another, Father's Day is coming up. And for some reason or another, when we get together, these things kind of begin to operate and begin to make itself known. And we start to think, you know, is this my people? Is this part of my people? Is this what my people do? Is this who my people are? And, you know, where do I fit in with my people? And why is there so much pain with my people? And the pain seems to be universal, right? It's not just my family, right? It could be the families that you're married into. It could be your God families. It can be your friend families, right? And you realize that there's always this, subhematoma of pain. And it's buried and it's hidden and it's ever so grievous, And I think about it a lot of times. And I think about it when I get together with my family. Now, see, that I'm a little different, right? Because I know that there's blood family, but it seems like my relationships with my family they're my family, but everybody that we really, connect, they become family. My school, Fountain Elementary, where I retired, it became my family. Brothers and sisters that I worked with. When I had my basketball teams and I coached, we were family. It wasn't like, I'm the coach, you the player, and you do what I say. No, we were a family. As I began to grow and move on into the ministry, I found my fathers in the ministry. And we became, and we are. It's just like family. I don't treat them any different than I treat my blood family. And oftentimes I say to myself, them my peoples, them my peeps. And my people become something that's very, very intimate and very special. And it may be that way for you. And if it is, tonight will kind of make sense. And hopefully we'll be able to move forward in a more positive direction. All right, so if you would, pull up to the table, take out your utensils, and let's start talking a little bit about 2 Chronicles, the 7th chapter, and we're going to start reading from the 11th verse. The 2 Chronicles, chapter 7, starting at the 11th verse. Now, I'm going to set the table with the New Revised Standard Version, all right? But it's still God's word. When Solomon had finished the temple of the Lord and the royal palace, and had succeeded in carrying out all he had in mind to do in the temple of the Lord and in his own palace, the Lord appeared to him at night and said, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself as a temple for sacrifices. When I shut up heaven so that there is no rain, or command locusts to devour the land, or send a plague among my people, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and I will heal their land. My eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayers offered in this place. I have chosen and consecrated this temple so that my name may be there forever. My eyes and my heart will always be there. So, the thing about this text that makes it so special to me is because it's something that we repeat, and I've heard a number of times. If my people who are called by my name would humble themselves, pray, seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven their prayers, and then I will heal their lands and forgive their sins. And it seems to be, I think the first time I heard this text, I was in Rochester. And I thought at the moment that the most important part is that God will heal the land if we do these things. Yeah. If we sought his face. Yeah. If we remain humble. Yeah. If we turn from our wicked ways, right? Then he would hear us from heaven. And based upon our prayers, he would heal our land. And that's the way I kind of took it. And I took it for a very long time, because that's a good maybe 25, almost 30 years now. And I held on to that understanding, which, by the way, is not a bad interpretation. It's not a bad scriptural reading. But the other day, one of my last days at Fountain Elementary, I was doing my car duty. And a very interesting interaction occurred. Now, mind you, this was somewhere around about 7:15 in the morning. And I'm out, and the rest of the other car duty people were out there with me, and cars are driving up to drop their kids off. And one car comes zooming up. I mean, it's like maybe a 10, 15 mile an hour zone. And he's doing at least 30, 35, right? And he whips around and jumps in front of this other car and comes, rolling in very fast, coming in hot. I'm watching this. I'm going, what is he doing? And the funny thing about it is you could hear and feel the music, that boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? Now, young adults, I know that, you like that bass, that bass rocks, you can feel it thumping in your heart. They take out the back seat and just put in, two big bass, and I get that, I had no problem with that. But the thing about it is there's a time and place. Yes. You know what I'm saying? There's a time and place for everything. And sometimes it just seems like we think that the time is always our time, right? So I hear this thunderous music, and it's pulsating through the black smoked windows. And, that bass, it was kicking like Bruce Lee. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom. And the roar of the engine, I guess he must have had glass pipes or whatever. There were like two lions fighting over a carcass of meat. Boo, boo. And I'm like, now, I know, right? I didn't reach a certain age where I guess some things it just kind of bothers me a little bit more. But back in the day, I might have thought that was cool too, right? So he comes in real fast. He's loud, and he rolls down the window so we can, check the temperature of the kid, because, here in Clayco, you just can't get out the car. We got to check you for COVID symptoms and things of that nature. So he rolls the window down, and a plume of smoke bellows out of the car, and it hits me in the face. Now, I ain't going to say contact high warning or nothing, because I'm not going there, right? But really, is this what we doing? Right? It was just kind of weird to me, right? It struck me so strange. And there was one student in the front seat, and that's a fifth grader, and I knew the kid. And, kids know when you look at them and they looked at you like, what you want me to do, coach? That's my peeps. So, he rolls down the window. I check his temperature. They rolled down the other window, and I checked the other. And there's about maybe three or four kids in the back. So I had to check each one of their temperature. And the thing about it is he didn't in any shape, form, or fashion reach for the volume to turn it down. I mean, you got smoke coming out the car, you got this bass that's beating, and you got explicit adult language from this song. And it's the hardcore rap. I'm going, really? And I'm looking at the kids and they just trying to get out the car because, sometimes, parents do stuff and they go, oh, but this time, they just got out the car, and they're just trying to, because it was an obvious situation that they all turned and looked, all the other teachers that were on duty and the ones that were in front of the school to welcome the kids, everybody's looking like, what? Now, I'm going to be honest with you, right? I'm not judging. I'm just saying there's a time and place for everything, bro. And then, choosing the right time means that you're a timely person. It doesn't mean that you're a weak person and you got to go along to get along and you just refuse to do that. So you do that kind of thing. It's like, really, you think about anybody else other than yourself, right? So, so this ideal happens, and so as the kids get out, I look at the brother, and I guess that the look was like, really? Is this what we doing? You know what I mean? And before I knew it, he gave me a look. He looked at me like, N-word, please. I do what I wanted to do. Rolls the window up and then boom, and takes off. And everybody's going, and the only thing I could think of is this text. And I went, my people. My people. Really? This is my people. This is my people. This is what my people do. This is what my people feed their kids at 7 a.m. in the morning. When did that happen? When did my people get to a point where they are so in tune to themselves that they don't care about anybody else? And I think about that, and it seems like this me, my, and I don't want to say generation because I can't put that on all young adults, right? There are some responsible young adults, and there are some square young adults, what we used to call square back in the day, L7, Rick James, right? And, or I think y'all call them, I don't know what y'all call them now, losers or whatever, but, everybody's not the same. So I can't generalize a generation. You feel what I'm saying? But it just seems like at this point, sometimes I think we're too much into self that we don't see anybody else. You feel what I'm saying? Now, the thing about this is we have to start to think that when people are doing something that we kind of feel is not quite right, then we kind of, we judge, right? And today, a lot of our young adults don't like that ideal of being judged, and so when I looked at him, I think he thought maybe I was judging him. I was judging him or being hypocritical because I did it too in the past, or feeling like, I'm not being authentic. I'm not keeping it 100. And he was, that it was that kind of look thing, and when you rely on this kind of behavior, I'm telling you, right, you're entering dangerous waters. That's dangerous. To not want to be judged, or not think that you should not have to be judged, or think little of the person that you think is judging you. But there's some things that, bruh, you know, my people, what? When did this happen? Because it took me to a space, right? When I was growing up, okay, and I had to ride too, right? I had a Galaxy 500 XL with moon hubcaps, and back then they were 22-inch wheels, and that was back in the 70s, right? And I had side pipes on it, and it was nice, right? But there is something about understanding who you are and who's your people. And we want to be able to educate our people to a point in which they can understand a truth. Yes? Right? You grow up in a home, and your parents, you think that when you're young, you think your parents are holding you back or not allowing you to live your dream, or not to do what you want to do. And and I think now, as a generation, I can say that that's probably the way it is for most people that's in that adolescent age, that 19 to 20 age range. And they just can't wait to do what? Get out the house, get on their own so they can do their own. And they forget that parents had already, done that. They done that trick, right? We done wore that t-shirt, bought that t-shirt, wore it, took it home, washed it, hung it out to dry, and we cut the sleeves off now because we done that. And so when we start to tell you something, you take it like we're trying to stop you from doing something. But in reality, the old heads are just trying to get the young heads to realize that, bro, that ain't new. You coming down in your car with your bass kicking and, your music loud and your plumes of smoke and stuff like that. That's the thing to do. Bro, we used to walk around with the stereophonic headphones and the beat box. What you talking about? We used to have a little cardboard that we walk around with so we can do our spins and our tricks on our boxes. You know what? And so I get that. So that's not a hypocritical analysis of you and what you do. But after a while, after you've done it enough, like old heads, you've done enough, you look at them and you go, bro, that might seem like fun to you, but you are now becoming a model for other kids that are growing up, and they looking at you going, oh, that's a good time? Right? And now that I've been through it, I realized that wasn't really no good time. That was no really good time for me. I was just as confused and frustrated and trying to find my way in life as I was from age 12 to age 25. It's the same thing. You're finding your way in life. You're making mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes. But here's the deal. When someone's trying to give you the truth for real, and you're going to ignore it simply because it's coming from the old head, and the old heads don't know nothing because, they didn't, they're not with you. They're not in your game. They're not your peeps. I'm like, bro, really? You my people, I'm trying to give you some information. And this thing about people, my people, right? My people becomes a personal thing. It's not something that is just from a racial perspective, right? I mean, all the teams I played for, listen, football, basketball, all the teams I played for or coached or was involved with had different ethnic backgrounds. And we all called ourselves family. It's my people. That's my team. That's my teammate, right? I'll check my teammate, but I ain't gonna let you check them. And that's like what happened the other night on TV with the Knicks and the Hawks. They disrespected Trey, the ice tray, and then they got a little chippy, Atlanta was supposed to just kind of back away from it, right? But no, they chipped up too. You see what I'm saying? Because they peeps. And it's the same thing. It's people. But we got to realize that we're trying to teach not just our people how to respond and react to certain situations, right? But we got to teach all our people, right? Now, are there some peeps and some people that's not going to go along with it, don't like it, because they want to be exclusive? I get that. I don't have no problem with that, right? However, there's only so many words in the English dictionary that can be said, and the racist can say the same words and the non-racist can say the same words. And they can both make an argument. You know, this ideal of cancer culture and the Jews will not replace us, right? And it's like the Native Americans can say that, but do they? Right? Asian Americans can say that, but do they? Right? So we all got these issues about our people. You know, I'm gonna tell you what, Black Power back in the 60s and the early 70s, you know, I'm there. Right on, Black Power. You know, James Brown came out with "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm proud." I had no problems with that. But on the flip side, I realized that there's other people too on this earth that God created. And it's not just my world. It's everybody's world. So when you think about it, this text now has a different twist to it. If you look at it from this perspective that I'm trying to share with you this evening, right? The ideal here is that God says, right? God is saying something here, and he's talking specifically to Solomon, right? King Solomon, right? And he says something, and like I said, when I first heard this, it was all about, you know, healing of the land or being healed. And I got that, and I carried that. But recently, along with this incident that occurred at the school, when I dropped my head and I said, "My people," you know, in my mind, quite honestly, I was thinking about people of color. My people, people of color. And I'm not ashamed to say that, because I do think about my people and how my people are growing and what's happening to my people, what happens to my people in the streets, what happens to my peeps in education, what happens with my people in the medical sense. You know, how is it that my people are always the last, right? So I'm not backing away from that statement. When I thought about it, I was like, you know, my people got to get better. There's some stuff that we got to do to get better. You feel what I'm saying? So, but on that day, after this transpired, I'm still there, and now it's about maybe 7:30, and you know, it's over at 7:45 when school starts and things get going. So about 7:30 to about 8:30, this ideal of my people was on my heart and mind, and I just couldn't shake it. And the ideal of my people, right? Then I thought to myself, God said this to Solomon, right? Now, let's just go back for a second, right? He says, God says, and this is what got me. He said, if my people. Now, in my pragmatic way of thinking, the very first question that I asked myself, who is God referring to? If my people. Is he referring to Solomon, the Hebrews? Is he referring to the Jews? Is he referring to, now this is the Old Testament, right? So the understanding of Christianity is not present in this statement. You see where I'm going with this? And this is what started me to think about this. He said, if my people. Now, that's hard for me to now attach to a Christian perspective, because this is Second Chronicles. This is written way before the onset of Christ entering into our lives. But God is calling somebody my people. Now he's talking to Solomon. So could this be that he's talking to Israel? He says, if my people, right? Now get this now. He says, if my people, that makes it personal. He said, my people, if my people. Now, that then, in some regard, and I've heard from some different viewpoints that, the Hebrews is God's people, the Black Hebrews. And, I went down that street before, and, I've gone down there several times with several different people. And I get that. And I'm like, okay, that's your belief, and you can hold that. And because it doesn't change who God is, right? It just changes who God is to you, right? So no disrespect. But I started thinking, God is saying, if my people. Now, here's the thing. The Hebrews that became Israel, that became Jewish, were chosen by God, listen, to do a particular thing at a particular time for a particular reason for a particular people. That was the whole idea of the choice. The choice was those people were supposed to give God's word to the world. Now, check the theology on it, right? So if my people, the ones that I call by my name, right? In the Old Testament, it would be Yahweh. So if anybody is calling God Yahweh at the time, Old Testament wise, is that who God is referring to? Only the people who God has called my people. You see, this is that theological conundrum that we face, and interpretation sets in, and we get to a point of paralysis by analysis. But God said, the text says that God said to Solomon, if my people. Now, I'm going to give you my perspective, because who else perspective can I give you, right? I'm going to give you mine. Take it or leave it. But I just want you to take it, marinate, let it sink in for a little while, right? And I like to analyze it by asking a couple of questions so that I'm not telling you, but you can kind of make the connection on your own, right? Question number one. If we go back to Genesis, we find that God made Adam and Eve. And from Adam and Eve, it doesn't really tell us if that was the only two people that God created, but it was the only two, they were the first two. We can say that beyond a shadow of a doubt, right? Because that's scriptural, right? And it's the basis. And, based upon what we know, if we take that as truth, they were first, but they were not the last. That's for sure, right? So if we take that and we say God created his people, man and female, made them male and female, placed them in the garden, told them to be fruitful and to multiply and to subdue the earth, right? Now, that doesn't mean that God didn't make other men and women. We don't know if he did or if he didn't. So stay with me for a second. So I'm going to ask you, if God is the creator and God creates men and women, are they not God's people because they're created by God? That's a question. I'm not telling you to believe it or not. I'm asking you to think about it. If your mother and your father created you, are you not your mother's and father's people? Right? Now, scientific. Let's feed the gamut, right? If you've got the fertilization of a donor father to a receiver mother, are they not your people? And if you think that they're not, why do people search for their biological parents? Because they're what? My people. So this understanding of God's creation of men and women then becomes something very important. And here's the important thing, because I'm presenting a pragmatic theological framework. God said to Solomon, if my people, Solomon wrote, and I'm not I can't be in Solomon's mind, but I believe that when you're inspired by God to write something down, you write it down as it relates to you and your people. Yeah? Yes? Yes? So, this understanding now says that I think God was speaking to Solomon, but speaking through Solomon, and God wanted Solomon to get that understanding. Because here's the thing. He says, right? He says, if my people, now watch this, who are called by my name, would humble themselves, seek my face, and pray, and turn from their wicked ways, then they will hear from heaven. I will hear their prayers, from heaven, and I will heal their land. So now, this understanding has to resonate within us. It has to. Because he's made it personal. He's made it intimate, right? He's made it to a point where we now have to understand or believe or come to the realization that what he's asking what God is asking Solomon to do is to go forth and do what he told him to do, which is to tell the people that if they would do these things, I will heal the land. But before that, he tells them, now the reason why I'm telling you this is so that you might get the understanding that there are things that I will have to do. I will have to give forth punishment. I will have to bring locusts in. I will have to stop it from raining. I would have to do so many of these other things that causes us to become disciplined to do what we're called to do. So obviously God has already made a testimony that Solomon and his people were not doing what they were supposed to do. You feel me? So he's saying, hey, look, I'm about to bring it because right now y'all don't get it, and I'm going to bring this in, and I might have to bring in plagues and locusts and all these other sorts of things to make sure that that you stay in front of my commandments. So if my people who are called by my name would what's the first thing he wanted them to do? These people called by his name, what's the first thing he wanted them to do? Humble themselves, not walk around talking about I'm the supreme this, I'm the supreme that, my people better than your people. He said, humble yourself, right? Humble yourself. Because we get the head because, we believe that we're God's chosen people. And, now I'm going to go there because that's what church folk think sometimes. Church folk think sometimes that they're God's chosen people, and he's going to, when the great getting up calling happens and the trumpets blow, he's just going to take them right out the church, and everybody that's not in church, he's going to leave out there. We get to that point, and we get so high and mighty that we forget that there are people who are meek and lonely. You feel what I'm saying? So the first thing God tells us to do is humble ourselves, right? He says, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves, right? It's personal. Then he says, called by my name. It makes it intimate. And to me, it may not be you, and I get it, but to me, that's all people, because God created all people. No matter which way they come out, no matter what you think, how they came here, and they're a person, and they're got the exact same thing that we got, right? Because everything that was made, what the text says, everything that was made, God made. Okay, so we got to throw that text out if you believe that other people were not made by God. So pragmatically, that doesn't make sense. To me, it doesn't. Now, you can talk and call me later, and we can talk about it. But God is saying, if my people, which makes it personal, it's between God and who? His people, right? Which are called by his name. right? Who believes in him, who calls him, who has conversation with him. And the first thing he says is to humble yourself. Stop thinking you more than what you are. You still a sinner. You were born and shaped in iniquity. So how all of a sudden you become better than somebody else? This racial superiority is like, what? So what? Okay, you're better than somebody else. What does that mean? What does that mean to the betterment of what God has called you to do? That's what I'm trying to figure out, right? So humble yourself. And then the next thing he says, now watch, he says, and pray. You humble yourself and then you go to him. You see, how many times have you heard people go to God in all haughtiness and telling God what to do? Really? Holding God accountable for what God said, like God can't change his mind. Really? Oh, God wouldn't change his mind. Oh, really? Right? Didn't he change his mind about somebody dying? Says, oh, no. He turned his face to the wall and prayed, and God gave him how many more years? 7 more years. Wait a minute. He changed his mind about Lazarus, didn't he? He said, Lazarus, yeah, he's dead. He's been in there. Yeah, come forth. Changed his mind. Right? Decided that, hey, look, flooded the earth. Then said, I changed my mind. I'll never do that again. Next time, it's going to be by fire. Right? If my people who are called by my name would humble themselves, pray. Right? And here's the thing again. Let me remind you about prayer. One of the most important things about prayer is not what you say. It's about what God says. You're having a conversation with the Most High. You don't tell God what to do. You're having a conversation with God so that God can tell you what to do. Hello. Get off the high horse, right? And then after he says pray, then he says, seek my face, seek me, seek what I'm asking you to do. Do what I'm telling you to do. Seek me, look for me. In all that you do, look for me. Right? Now watch this. Then he says, then you got to turn from your wicked ways. But see, you can't turn from your wicked ways without the power of Christ, or without the power of God, or without the power of the Holy Spirit. You can't do it on your own. You need those three to help you. The text tells us that there is nothing that you can get in that God can't get you out of if you do what he tells you to do. Right? You see, but here's the thing. He says, turn from your wicked ways. But here's the problem. We get so haughty, we think we ain't got no wicked ways. Right? But if you're humble enough, you can ask for forgiveness. Yes? And recognize that you don't have to continue in your sinful ways. Now watch this. And this is the part I grew up on. Then God will hear from heaven, way up there, or way inside, deep in here, in that heart, and forgive our sins. And call us my people. If my people who are called by my name, God says, would humble themselves, pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from them from heaven and come down and heal their land. I'm not sure what that meal was like for you tonight. What I would like for you to do is to send me a text, put it in the chat box. Got a question, comment, or concern? Put it in the chat box. Let me know. I would love to hear from you. Yes? I am the Reverend Dr. Coach J. And you've just had a nice, healthy dose of what? Soul food, y'all. I hope and pray that I might be able to see you next Thursday. For what? Soul food, y'all.